You? No? You need to find out about him. Hey campers, George here with the boss. Morning coffee break. Looking at some knives. These guys, 3 of them, all USA made. Never heard of them. Interesting histories. Let's check it out. So we were talking about leather and things like that. Mary's checking out some of my sheaths and slips that I made. She's not sure about them. She's thinking about it. We be here for these guys. Like I said, 3 knives I've never heard of, all made in the USA, way back in the day, apparently, allegedly. So we're going to have a look-see at them and fix them up. They need a good cleaning. One needs a repair. And yep, did my due diligence. Looked him up. Found out more about him. So, here we go. The boss just warned me she's going to write me up if I don't wear my safety cap. So, like I said, going through my to-dos, I came across these 3 guys. I had them in a bag together, had no idea why until I looked closer at them. Here they are here. 3 plain old jacks, except the handles, well, they're pretty cool and unusual. And here's something else. There's not a clamshell between them. Woot! The first one I have here is this guy. And you can see, pretty nasty, beat up. But I kind of, look at the handle. It's very cool. Look at that. What it is, the material, who knows? And of course, it has these very cool, what I call, I don't know, toenail bolsters on them. Tiny little things. And this one, even has all 4 of them on. Not that common. But the problem with this guy is, yeah, you see that? Not good. It's popped out. It's come out of the pin must be broken or something like that, because if you look closely at the end there, see here, the springs drop below the blade. So we're going to have to fix that. And of course, the blades need a little bit of work. The well all needs to be cleaned, right? Can't go into the collection looking like this. So we're going to have to fix it. Now, who made this thing? Here's where things get interesting. Here's the tang stamp. See that? And it says Osborne Co. Clifton, New Jersey. That's it. Then I opened the other blade just to be sure. And it says made in the USA. Here's the tang stamp. Who is Osborne? Had no idea. So I looked him up. Got the info. So basically this is just a 2-blade jack. Now I know. You guys are brutal, I gotta tell you. However, I love it. I'll get a lot of comments like, George, you call these all 2-blade jacks or 3-blade jacks. I'm kind of lazy that way. One of the reasons is, between you and me, I can't remember the different styles and what they called. And I looked up jackknife. Here's what it says. So there you go. It's called covering your bases politely. Now I know there's all sorts. Let me have a look, see what I can see. You got canoes, Barlows, Congress, Stockman, Trapper, Toothpick, Texas, Penknife, Copperhead, Muskrat, Swayback, Lockback. And this, we all know, is a 2-blade jack. Here's the thing. It's a 2-blade jack. I can't find anybody who can tell me a real name for this. This looks like a big pen blade, okay? And you got your clip. Very distinct clip. Some people call it a saber. some people Bowie, some people like me just say a really big clip. I don't know. The long sweeping clips, California clip, there's so many different things. So bear with me. If I go, it's a whatever jack, I don't know what it is. You can always put in the comments below what it is. But, like I said, Osborne Co. It says on the tank stamp, if you saw that they're in Clifford, New Jersey. Unusual to see that on a tank stamp. It's kind of sort of in the same area all the other knife guys are that are in New York, Rhode Island, places like that, Colonial, Imperial. Yeah, they've all been Utica. They're all roughly around that area. So I looked them up, and here's what I found. Osborne Company moved to Clifton, New Jersey in the early 1930s and changed their name early 1950s. Now it gets interesting. They were a calendar company. Advertisers is what they were. They made, and their most popular thing for companies was obviously calendars and pens. Obviously did knives as well. As it says here, their knives were contract knives. They moved to Clifton, New Jersey in early 1930s. Changed their name in early 1950s and were a big calendar company and did a lot of advertising. They closed in 1958. So this is an oldie but goldie, okay? Got some interesting history. Weren't around that long, but, they were an advertising company. And we know how popular that was during that time period. So there's that. Osborne Knife Co. Interesting. Then we have this guy. Now check this out. Look at the scales. Whew! Very nice. When I first saw this knife, I was like, oh, nice scales. I bet you it's a clamshell. And I bet you it's made by, I don't know, Hammer brand, Imperial. Nope. Not a clamshell. And not made by any of them people. Now this is a 3-blade jack. Hold on. There it is there. Look at that. Here you've got a nice little pen blade. You got a nice little clip. And up here, I want to say, kind of sort of a spade blade. See a lot of this out there, the 3-blade jacks. Oh, okay. And Mary just told me Stockman style. That's what she said. And I was looking at the pictures, and it kind of seems that the blades are mixed up. I always thought that this was there and this was there. But hey, 3 blades, those 3 blades on this kind of handle, Mary convinced it's a Stockman. Is it? Comments. Very cool knife, right? Love this handle. Very bright, very pretty, and it's not a clamshell. Gonna need some cleanup. Not as bad as the other guy, and there's really nothing wrong with it. Needs a little bit of oil, fairly good snap on it. Maybe oiling them up, they'll get their snap back. Now this guy, that it's really hard to see, Kingston, USA. Here's the tank stamp. Who's Kingston, right? Never heard of them either. You're all shocked, right? You probably have. I'm learning as I go here from you guys. And I looked on the other blades and there is nothing. So that's all it said. Kingston, wait, hold on. Kingston, USA. Yeah, that's it. Coffee. Who's Kingston, USA? My research tells me this knife is Kingston Cutlery Co. circa 1945 to 1947. This was an association formed during World War II by Ulster, purchased in 1941 by Albert Bayer, an Imperial Knife Company. And in January 1941, Albert, in partner with his brother Uncle Henry, assumed control of Ulster Knife Co. during World War II. Ulster formed a cooperative with Imperial Knife, and between the two factories they produced more than half the knives purchased by the US Armed Forces during World War II. After World War II, About 1946, a joint company was formed called Kingston Cutlery Company of Walden, New York, and in 1946 or 47, this company purchased Schrade Cutlery Company and renamed it Schrade Walden. Yeah, it just gets, it's so intermingled. To try and keep track of it. In 1947, Kingston was dissolved and Imperial Knife Associated Companies was formed. The Ulster name was used until 1973, and in that time, Schrade Walden tank stamps were changed to Schrade, New York, USA, about 1985. The association was changed to Imperial Schrade Corporation. So there you go. This guy. Pretty interesting. Who knew, right? Number 3 on the list is this guy. Check out the handle on this. Right? Pretty cool, huh? It's kind of sort of hard, and it cost me a whopping $3. See that? And it's a 2-blade jack. What do you call this? Come on. It's got to be the same thing as this guy, right? The handle's a little different. It's not so sweeping as this one is. But it is a cool handle. No bolsters. Got your ever-present clip. And the other ever-present, I think that's meant to be a pen blade. Maybe kind of sharp drop-off at the top here. You see that? Kind of weird. But I'm going to call it a pen blade. Little dirty. Needs a good cleanup. Interesting to see how this handle's going to look when it's done. And who was it made by? Well, your guess is as good as mine, because on the tank stamp it says Thornton, USA. Thornton. Who would have thunk? Never heard of them either. Here's what I found out. Thornton knives. Thornton knives were primarily produced in the mid to late 1940s. Manufacturers, they were believed to have been made by Camillus or Colonial. So Thornton didn't make them, they were a contract. Distinct features, these knives often had silver grey scales and a distinctive 90-degree stop. Does it? Oh yeah. On all the blades, by the way. So we're on the right track here. Tribute to Wayne Thornton Walter. You know him, right? Well, this is who he was if you didn't. This was considered a tribute to Wayne Thornton Walter, a World War II squad leader. Kind of random, but I'm sure he was some kind of man. Typically, carbon steel and celluloid handles. Now, it says here, celluloid or bone handles. Blade length, they usually measure about 3 3/16, not so much. That would be closed. 1, 2, 3, yeah. 3, 1, 2, 3. That's an inch. Everybody knows that, right? With a 2 1/4 inch blade. 1, 2, close enough. See that? Very cool. So, another 1-year wonder. I don't know. But here they are here. Time is passing by. Let's go clean them up and fix them. So I can learn from you guys, because, to be honest, that's how I learn. Back to this guy, and you can see it has, has this big clip, pen blade, pretty big, nice pen blade, very nice handles. Don't know what the material is, and it's falling apart. So we got to fix it. As soon as I said, let's look at the history, she walked off, shaking her head, and took a nap on the chair behind me. Fixed. So I think I want to do this first, get this out of the way, get them all cleaned up, fix it, hopefully, and then clean these guys up. We'll spend a lot more time on this, and we'll do the cleaning and everything and show how it's done. I'll just give you highlights on the other guys, because you know what, I don't want to bore you. And maybe look at some sheaths or slips or something for them. Okay, looking at this guy, the actual blades and everything, the handle in really good shape. All that has happened is that the pin, I think, pulled through, and what happened was allowed the spring for the main blade to drop in next to it, which means that it doesn't stop. Now, I was thinking about just trying to force it in there, which is not always a good time. Let me see, we'll try that first. I suspect it won't happen, but hope springs eternal. All I'm trying to do is lift that blade, the spring enough. Nope. The springs are in really good condition. And you know what? I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, this would look really cool with brass pins. What do you think? Anyway, let's get this pin out. I'm just going to cut through it. And we'll either just replace that one or put brass pins in all the way around. I think that I really like brass pins. I think they really make a handle like this pop out. I was thinking about just grinding out the pin and trying to knock it out. But, you know, I find even when I'm having a good day, I nick the handle. And I don't want to do that. I would rather not mess up the handle. It's a really nice handle and I like to keep it that way. So I'm going to knock it out with a razor. It's pretty delicate up here, so I don't want to damage it. I'm just going to put a piece of wood on here and hit it with a soft blow. Soft blow. And we're going to go, oh, safety glasses. It's going to be lots of sharp things flying around sometimes. So just be safe. I'm bending things. There we go. But I bent things. Yeah, we got through it. But just what I didn't want to happen was I bent it. Well, you know what? Looks like we're going to have to take it apart anyway. So, got the blade there. Hole looks fine. Doesn't look worn at all. I'm going to cut the rest off and we'll take it apart. Okay, here we are in bits and pieces. Man, so you can see what I'm saying is when I was knocking it off, you can see how it got bent. Gonna have to straighten that up, clean that up. You can see here. Yeah, I did a lot of damage. Man, hate it when that happens. Actually, the springs and everything are in really good condition. Very little wear. The blades, you can see the. Remember they said about the half stop? Look how distinctive these half stops are. Very square on the tang. Let's get these pins out and straighten stuff up and start to clean. So I've got to get these pins out. I'm going to tap in. I've got to tap this way because obviously they've peened over on the cover side. You can see how this one, when it cut through, didn't cut very well. So, actually I'm glad they're not glued on because that one that I bent, working like this will be a little bit easier than breaking this while it's still glued on. Talking about this guy. Not good. This is what I'm talking about. The bends. I can now flatten this out without worrying about breaking the cover. Okay, so here we have the knife laid out. You can see it here. Scales, liners, liner, springs, 2 blades. So now that we have it apart, we can actually clean it up, get them all shiny, and then let's pin it together and then polish and sharpen. I think just maybe 1000 sandpaper and then 10,000, and then we should be good. We'll mother it up when it's all put back together again. So I'm just got some 1,000 here. It's going to go over this. You can see the difference there. Going to have to work on these. You can use a Dremel to get rid of the heavy stuff. You just got to be careful when using a Dremel. This is pretty thin, and sometimes, you know, people use like a wire wheel or something. Be very careful because you'll really thin it down, overheat it, that sort of thing. So if you want to use a Dremel, you can do that. I'm not a fan of the wire wheel. I'd rather use something a little bit softer, not so abrasive. This is not bad stuff to get off. Persistence with sandpaper will get it off. I've got some 180 here that I'm going to use, and initially, and you can see it gets rid of it pretty quickly, and you're not going to take off a lot of steel. You know, just remember there's pitting. You're not going to get rid of that unless you go right through. This is too thin to do that. So this is the inside, so you know it'll shine up nicely, it'll look nice, it won't look bad. It just takes a little bit of elbow grease, or you know, you can use a Dremel. So there I went over the 180 and got rid of the heavy rust, and I'll just hit it right now with 2,000 actually, which just brings out the shine a little bit more, just like that. Now I'm going to do the other side. I just want to clean off all the rust and stuff, so I'm going to just 180 it quickly. Don't forget the edges. When you're doing the springs, remember this side as well, because when you look down into the well, that's what you see. Well, when I look at a knife. And you'll get a bit of shine there, and it looks like somebody cared. Look at the hole. You see that? A little close. So here we are now. Everything's nice and kind of sort of shiny. Almost as shiny as we want it. Decide on what we're going to do for pins. So I've just got these little panel nails that I use just to go through and put it together and see what it looks like together. Sometimes I get it right first time, but only sometimes. Now I can put it together with the 3 pins because these are too small for the holes, so it allows me to move the springs more. The blade, then we need the liner, same, yeah, spring. What I was looking at there is the nail mix. Sense? Everything lines up. So if I close the blade, can I get to all those nail nicks? Yep. Oh yeah. So that's how it goes together. Let's find the pins. I think I like the idea of the brass, although this is all silver. I really like how the brass is going to look against the handle. Let's do that. So I've got my 3 brass pieces here. I wonder if we can get that in. I don't know if it'll... Oh, look at that. I think that'll look nice. So, let's have at it. Okay, so we've got to put this guy together. I wanted to show you something. These actually have that like trench in it, so that when you press them together, they pull everything together. You don't need to glue it or anything. It'll hold it in there nice and tight. So there we are there. Now you know how I've been struggling with my pinning, and somebody said get a spacer. So I found one. Basically what I'm going to do is put it between the liner like that, so that when I pin, it won't pin it too tight. And then you can make slight adjustments when you're done.
First thing I got to do is clean up these two ends so that they're nice and flat, and then trim these down and do the same on the other side, and then start pinning. I'm going to tape this on here so it doesn't come out while we pin the other side. So now I put this in to create the gap clearance that I need. And let's start pinning it. The hole in the cover is really big. That's what the problem was before, and that is the pin pulled through the handle. So I've got to get this big enough to hold in the handle. It's going to take a while. Got to get that pin to spread more. Right, now hopefully we can do the other side. Okay, now I'm going to take this out, and you can see there's a lot of wobble here, but I've got to pull that together. I keep hitting my thumb. So I've clamped it so that it's tight at the back here. Make a little point on it. Now we've got to squeeze this together, and hopefully that'll go in. Just one go in. Huh. Oh, that didn't feel good, but it went through. Says I could feel the other side moving. Can you hear the difference in the sound? If I don't have it sitting square, it sounds dull. But if I can feel the difference right there. You can actually hear it. I want to file this guy down a little bit more. So now we're there. Now we have to clean these blades up better. We go over them with 1,000 and then 10,000, and then do everything in 10,000 and even the cover. So there we are with 1,000. So these handles are coming out. Look at that. They're starting to show up really nice. So now we go to 10,000. You can see the 1,000 there. Alive now. As bad as they were, well, they look a little better. And here we are at 10,000. You can see the handle is starting to get a shine to it. It's coming up nicely. I'm liking this. Let's do some mothers on this thing. So there's the mothers on the blade. One side, I'll do the rest with mothers. So there you can see it there. And there you are with mothers. Very nice. Cleaned up nice. I like this handle. Kind of like that look. Very cool. And these two, I'm just going to repeat what I just did with 1,000, 10,000 and mothers. I'll show you the end result because I don't want to bore you to death with it. So this is the guy we're going to do now. It shouldn't take a lot. Hopefully I'm really hoping these will clean up nice. I like the skins on this. So there you go. This guy. Now, I have to say, I really like this handle. Love the colors on this handle. And I'm losing my voice. But you can see it cleaned up pretty good. Very nice. Very nice. I like this knife. Kingston, huh? Now this guy. Oh, so he has that $3 knife. Wow. I just like the handle. And this is the Thornton. It's going to need some work. But it's not too bad. I think we can clean it up. Make it look decent. Get him all shiny. So, once again, 1,000. I might need some 600 on some of this, but 1,000, 10,000 mothers. Never fun. Look at this guy. I gotta tell you, this handle, look at the shine on it. I don't know what was going on with it before, but it was so dull. It felt rough and everything. And all I did was 1,000, 10,000 on the handle. And then mothers. And it turned into this. Now I know why these knives were popular. Look at that. I think this is a favorite for me now. As a fixed up, really pleased with the way this one worked. Needs to be sharpened along with the other guys. And then we'll do some looking at some leather for them that I might have already. The three cutters. Look at these guys. You know, when I saw them, my first reaction was, look at the covers. They're all unusual, bright, colorful colors. I didn't think about who made the knives or anything like that. My thought was, I want those covers, and if I don't like the knife or the blades are broken, anything like that, I can put those covers on another knife. Well, as you saw, it turns out I didn't need to. And boy, they cleaned up really nice. This guy, I got to tell you, really, really cleaned up well. Surprised me the most. When you looked at it, it was dull. It looked, what's the word I'm looking for? Like horrible plastic. You could feel it.
It didn't feel right. Then I sanded it and did whatever I do, and suddenly it's smooth, hard. Look at it. Look at this. I can't believe the change in it. And I think it was just age. It had never been cleaned, it had never been wiped off or anything, and I just think that over time the plastic started to break down on the outside in like a layer. So we seem to have caught it in time. The blades, all these knives, they were in pretty good condition. This guy was probably the most beat up guy, and you can see, you know, the pitting on some of the rust. Not a lot of it, still cleaned up very nice. Can't complain about this guy. Nice silver, you know, everything is silver on this guy. It really matches the handle. You've got this blue silverish swirl on it. So liners, springs, everything was steel. So this was the Thornton one, and we talked about that. For some reason I was thinking Thornton Brothers, but all this does is say Thornton on it. And I think I've seen one before. I want to say I have one somewhere. I need to go back and look through my cards. Then we have this guy. Same thing on this one. Handle was looking really rough. The pin had broken, and the blade and the spring wasn't lined up, so it didn't work. It was coming apart. So we had to take it apart. We cleaned everything up. Look at this handle. Very pretty, shiny. And we sharpened it up, repinned it with the brass pins. Struggled a little bit with that, and I don't know why that happened, but we got it fixed. Yeah. Same thing again, you know, the blades and everything were really good order. These are not young knives at all. These guys are old. And look how well they've turned out. Really cleaned up well. And I like this kind of same thing as the other one. It's a swirl. You know, it's some sort of swirl plastic, very similar. And this, of course, was Osborne, right? Yeah, this was Osborne. Another make I'd never heard of. Kind of like finding these guys. I mean, some of these companies were around for like 2 years, and then they got bought or changed hands or merged or sold or... Interesting. Just amazes me. So that worked out pretty good. And then this guy. The handle on this is very cool. Look at this. Right? When I saw this, like I said, I thought it was a clamshell, and I was thinking, oh, probably Hammer brand or Imperial or Colonial, and, you know, a clamshell. And that's what it looked like. And then I pulled it out, and lo and behold, it wasn't a clamshell. It's solid. It's got bolsters and everything. And, you know, it had a pitting on it and that sort of thing. You know me, I'm not a big fan of trying to get rid of it. Just want to clean it up. You don't want to take too much steel off. So it cleaned up nicely. But this is a really cool handle. And I was so surprised that it wasn't one of those regulars, that this is a Kingston. There we go again. Another manufacturer I knew nothing about. Been around way back in the day, not for very long, merged, whatever, the whole story. You know how that goes. And so, turned out very nice. And look, it's a 3-blade jack. I'm kidding. You know, this is, it's kind of a cattleman, stockman style. One of those. I'll memorize them one day, I promise. See that? Very nice. So I mentioned leather. And what I'm talking about is I'm working on slips. Did some leather work, had some time, had some spare leather. And I came up with a slip. Here it is here. You've seen this style before. I've done this before. And I thought to myself, you know, I have all these cutters. I like to carry different ones in my pocket. I always have my Swiss Army knife on my belt, my sack. It's a Tinker, I think, and it's what I carry. I've carried it for a year now, maybe even longer. Love that thing. It's really handy, use it a lot. But I like to have another knife in my pocket, and you know me and my pockets. Keys, that's it. And you know, and I've come to start carrying these little jacks, and I don't want them rubbing on the keys and everything, so slips is the way to go. Well, they're all different sizes, and I will randomly choose a knife and put it in my pocket, but I want a slip for it. And I thought, I'm going to have to make a slip for every single one of these knives. I'm going to lie. I don't think there's enough leather out there. So I looked around and did some research and found a couple of things, and I saw that a lot of people just made 3 sizes. They were selling them. They made 3 sizes, and I thought, I wonder what those sizes are. And lo and behold, one guy actually had the dimensions on there. So using those as a reference, I made different sizes. Yeah, you can see small guy, medium. So you got small, medium, and a large. They're all exactly the same style, just the sizes are a little bit different. And I found that most of them will fit. Now, to be honest, my favorite sheath for me is the barrel. I really like that idea. Can't remember how I came up with it. For some reason, I'm thinking I saw a guy do something similar with this. I think it was on an Opinel website or something like that. I think it had to do with Opinel. And I really like that idea. I just made some changes to it. And you've seen my barrel sheaths. And this, I really like this idea. I think it adds a little bit more. It's got my stamp on it. This one has a sack in it. I was just doing that. And I was thinking, maybe I can do the same for bigger folders with these. Make them different sizes. These are actually fairly easy to make. You just got to get the thickness of the knife and the length of the knife and adjust accordingly. It's pretty easy. And I'm thinking 3 sizes, but trying to figure them out is not easy. So I have the slips, so let's see. For some reason I'm thinking the small slip for these, and I'm looking at that. Okay, there you can see it there, and you know, you press to get it out. Now it's a little tight in there, which you don't want it to slide out, and it will stretch over time, but you know, it fits there, and you can grab it if you need to pull it out. To me, that's not the idea of the slip. The slip is squeeze and drop, okay, but you know, if I give it a good squeeze, it'll drop out. So that one fits in the small one. Here's this guy. Now, this is probably, for me, better suited because it doesn't stick out here. And it works pretty good. And this is the small, which, to be honest, kind of surprised me. Now, this is the thickest of the 3. But, yeah, it's really thick, and it's really starting to curve and swell it. I wonder if the medium, look at me, small, medium, large, will work. Here's the medium, but I'm worried about the length. Now, I put it in there, and look, you can barely see the knife, and it's really loose in there. What do? You make another size? No, I'm sticking with this, and I think the small will work. It's going to stretch a little bit, but it'll work for it. I went through my up next, and this is a Camp King, okay, and it's a real Camp King, your typical camp utility scout knife. A lot of people carry these. This is the medium, and I'm going to put it in there. Now, something about slips. If you don't want to squeeze your slip or anything like that, you can put a little lanyard, you know, something like this. Problem is it hangs outside. Now you can tuck it in. Let's put this one. This was sent to me by, I can't remember, I think it was Bob. Okay, I'll put the lanyard on the bail, and you can, if you want to, tuck it in. Put it in your pocket. When you need to pull it out, it comes out. If you don't want to use a lanyard, you know, it's in there tight, but you give it a good squeeze, it'll drop out. And the trick is, the lower down you squeeze, the more chance you're going to get it to drop out. Okay, so you hold it like that. I'm squeezing at the top here. He says after doing that. There you go. The large, it's just too big. But then I was thinking, what did I? You can see there. So we got the big slip. Let's see if that works. Pretty close, right? Squeeze it, out it comes. Typically a heavier knife, so they tend to fall out easier. So if you have a big, longer trapper, that sort of thing, the large, I think, is going to work. I don't even know what this is. Huh? Would you believe it? That's a colonial. Look at that. Who knew? Too small. But I think it'll meet them, you know, it goes in the medium. Comes out. Now, so that's what I've been doing. And, you know, I've been playing with that. I have ideas I want to do. I've got my templates, and you can see I write templates. And the best knives I've found that I own to figure out what sizes will fit, Victorian knots. Have every size, thickness, and length you could want. Very thin, basically a very thin 2-blade jack. Here's a big one, and 2-layer. Here's probably the most common size. A lot of layers, not the most common size, but length. Here you go again. All different thicknesses. And I found them to be the better ways to figure out a lot of layers, more layers, less layers. I used them and found them to be a really good indicator. Now, I'm an Opinel fan, just saying. Come in all those different sizes, and that's where this comes in, the barrel sheath. The first one I ever made was for an Opinel, and here I've got 3 little Opinels, 3 different sizes, 9, 8, and a 6, I think, or a 7. 6, okay. So they're different sizes, different lengths. Some will fit, some won't. And I'm thinking the same thing and using the Opinel sizing. Another thing is, I have a lot of them. So I need a lot of these. So I can come up with 3 sizes for this, maybe basing it on the Opinels. So there you go. 10 minutes, you're never going to get back. But my point is, I now have slips for all my little thing, all my little cutters. These ones I'm restoring, the little jacks. And I like this idea. Plus it gives me the opportunity when the urge comes, you know, they make nice little giveaways. And they cost me my time. The leather, obviously the more I make, at one time, the cheaper it is for me to do it. So that's the whole idea of making 4 or 5 of them at once, and in one size or all 3 sizes, whatever. So that's what I like. And like I said, you know, never store your knife in a leather sheath. If you have a sheath, take it out, put it in a bag in its box, or it's separate from the sheath. Sucks up moisture like crazy. Get those little baggies that suck up moisture. Good thing. Put you can get that different pastes from everybody. Everybody has them. Rubido has them. You know, that, I don't know, what mink oil type thing. You can put it on the blades and stop them from patinaing, stop them from rusting, that sort of thing. But don't leave it in the sheath. So what I've been doing lately is just putting all my sheaths into boxes, different sizes. I pick up a cutter. Oh, that's a medium. I can grab a medium, put it in my pocket and go. So that's what I've been doing. I just wanted to show you that. I think for me, if I want to sell sheaths, I think this is the way to go. Oppenall make their own sheaths, hard to find, and they're expensive. I can beat their price with this little, my barrel sheath, and make a bunch of them and sell them and actually pay for the leather. So like that. Anywho, back to what we're really here for, and I've lost half of them. No, I haven't. These guys. Can't believe how well these clean up. Now I'm really excited about, these small little 2-blade, 1-blade, 3-blade stockman, canoe, trapper. I have a bunch of them, and I've kind of been putting them off. Now I'm getting excited. I can't believe how well this one cleaned up. But even these guys, even this one and that one, they really clean up nice, and they're all sharp and shiny. Love that. I love to just look at them as well, and I'm gathering. You will be safe out there. No matter what, leather, sharpening, cleaning, just pay attention. You don't want to be hurting yourself. That's not good. Don't forget, like, share, subscribe. You know the story. Pretty sure I'll be back. Already started working on another video. Had some things going on, had a lot going on and everything like that. So there'll be an update coming out with the channel and what's been going on with me. Things are looking up. Either way. So there you go. Thanks for watching. Always appreciate it. We'll see you again.